right, welcome to Trivial Debates, this month's edition for June 2021. Coming out of the pandemic, it's an exciting time. We're also heading into Canada Day week. We have a Canadian theme today, and I'd like to welcome you to the Ultimate Pop Culture Challenge. I'm your host, Adam Woodward, and we have some awesome new debates for this month. Our panelists will be judged and scored on their arguments for facts, passion, and creativity. Our panelists this week are Jody Simpson. Welcome, Jody.
Wow, first.
You're first.
You can hear me?
Yep, we can.
Right.
Welcome this early Sunday morning. Happy you're here.
Thank you.
All right, Chris Seymour. Hello, Chris.
Woohoo! Second.
There's the passion and the new golf guy. By the way, I loved your little your upgrade of your picture on that was fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And for the first time, Mike O'Connor. Mike's joined us on some Star Trek Discovery podcast. But Mike, welcome, and I enjoy your shirt. You are, got a point up on that already this morning.
So how come two of the contestants were red, and then one of them didn't?
Yes.
I think we earned some points there, Jody.
I think so. I think that's an automatic 1 point off for Chris.
Listen, man, I just grabbed whatever T-shirt's on top of my pile.
It's Sunday morning. Come on, cut the guy some slack.
Exactly.
Never.
Not points though.
I didn't become the winningest at this thing by cutting slack.
Right. So, guys, just a reminder on how the show works. There's 6 rounds plus a speed round for the top 2 panelists. We'll cover topics on Canadian movies, television, music, sports, history, and I have a wild card round. We want people to be passionate but personally not mean to one another, but just keep it clean. Keep in mind, we can skip a new debate by looking at the time indexes in the description and going to battles that interest you the most. Okay, let's get ready to start here, and we will start. Dave, am I free with whoever I choose to go first?
Yeah, you can. Usually, yeah, and here, let's get going.
All right.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Okay, we'll start with Jody being the reigning champion. I think he is in the last round. So we have the topic is the best movie starring a Canadian actor in the lead role.
All right.
Just let me get the clock set up here. Sorry, I'm just.
Jeez, producer Dave, come on. All right, I got 0 seconds.
I've got my notepad ready to go.
All right. You're up, Jody. Go.
All right. I picked a very well-known Canadian actor known by Ryan Reynolds. And the movie that I picked is actually Deadpool, the first one. The reason why I picked this movie was not only on the fact that it's an enjoyable movie, everybody enjoys it. It was one of the highest rated R-rated movies in the world, not just in Canada. The movie itself actually did a entire box office of $783 million with a budget of only 58. So obviously that was quite a haul. Overall, just a fun movie. A lot of Canadian references in it as well, which I thought was fitting as well. And overall, just a great movie and just a lot of fun, especially for anybody who's a fan of the character. Overall, I don't see how you can get more Canadian in a Canadian movie that's not made by Canada. So it's great. So that's my pick.
Okay, Chris.
Okay, so for my movie, I chose something not so popular. I chose Hardcore Logo. This movie is starring Hugh Dillon as the frontman. This movie is both a great Canadian lead actor, also a Canadian movie filmed in Canada, very much a cult film. It takes place in Canada. It's about a band touring on the west coast of Canada, going to Edmonton, Calgary, and it was shot in the style of like a documentary. So it's a very low budget movie, but it's got a huge cult following now. Very entertaining movie. Like the actors in it, like Hugh Dillon, was not really an actor at the time. He actually is in a band, so he was a perfect frontman to play Joe Dick in that movie. The other actors in it, like Joe Mulligan, David Mulligan, sorry, Much Music DJ at the time, was playing the cameraman. Excellent film.
Okay, and over to Mike.
All right, cue it up. So for my movie, I picked 1985's classic Back to the Future, starring Michael J. Fox. I don't think you get any more Canadian than Michael J. Fox. We've got action, we've got science fiction, we've got romance, we've got a whole lot of fun. It's a funny movie. We've got some great comedic actors in there, like Christopher Lloyd. You got Crispin Glover. I mean, as far as story goes, it's a family movie. Anyone can watch it. One of the highest grossing movies of the 80s. I think it's the highest grossing movie of 1985. You got The Power of Love by Huey Lewis. I mean, it's got music. It's got the rock and roll. Like I said, the time travel is super fun for everybody to watch. I mean, it's in the Library of Congress. You can't beat this Back to the Future as far as best movie starring a Canadian actor.
Okay, Dave, time for rebuttals. Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, so get 4 minutes for rebuttals.
You know what? Your movies are both pretty good picks, but they were like box office blockbusters. I wanted to go with something a little less mainstream that has a cult following nowadays, and it left.
Did you miss the part that said best movie?
Like, I don't. If you've ever seen that movie, I don't want to give away.
Part, Chris?
Yeah, I don't want to give away the ending, but you were left just in awe after watching that movie. It just blows your mind.
I've seen all three of these movies,
and
they are interesting. But number one, when it comes to just straight out box office numbers, my movie blows away both of these movies combined, even combined. Okay. On top of that, you also have Hardcore Logo, which tell me anybody who actually knows who the lead in that movie is.
Hugh Dillon.
Hugh Dillon. Yeah, you're the only one that knows that. Anybody know who Hugh Dillon is?
Hugh Dillon is also the lead singer of the Headstones.
I'm fully aware of that. That doesn't change anything. It said best movie starring a Canadian actor.
He's acted in other things.
When it comes,
he was in Flashpoint as well. He's been in other things. He's been in a movie with Nicolas Cage. He's an actor.
I could be in a movie with Nicolas Cage. Come on.
But, you know what? The guitarist in that movie, his fictional name was Billy Talent, which also spawned the name of another great Canadian band. So there's a lot of great Canadiana that comes out of this
great
movie.
Cult following. I completely agree. However, the part where it says best movie, that's where I'm lacking with your.
The best movie does not always mean the best blockbuster numbers.
I think a
great movie.
If it's going to be on a best movie list, I have to have seen it before. So I'm going to fully admit to never seeing No Logo.
Well, you should. Logo. It's a good movie.
I'm looking it up here. I'll watch it now, though. You know, I got to say, I've seen a lot of movies in my time. I've seen a lot of mockumentaries in my time. This one doesn't even come on the list, so I don't know how it gets up
best Canadian actor in a lead role.
I don't know, Chris.
No,
Hugh Dillon, I wouldn't consider the best Canadian actor in a lead role.
Yeah,
I don't know, Chris.
Michael J. Fox is definitely a good pick. You know, there's nothing wrong with Michael J. Fox. However, you know, if you're looking at just the merits of the two movies, obviously mine is superior when it comes to pretty much everything. Even though I love Back to the Future, it's a great movie.
I'll give you Deadpool, great movie, hands down there, Jody. Fantastic, like from top to bottom. It's got great action. It's funny, but you know what? As far as best movie goes,
callbacks as well.
Absolutely, but you know what? As far as best movie goes, you know, you can't sit down and watch Deadpool with the kids. You really can't. I mean, it's just all around.
How shitty of a parent you are. Don't tell me what I can't do.
Listen,
I'm telling you right now, if you're sitting.
The kids have nothing to do with it. You don't want to watch Hardcore Logo with your kids either. Trust me.
No, you don't.
The kids does not have anything.
If this category was best family friendly movie, absolutely, I would agree that Back to the Future is by far the best out of the three. But that's not what this category is. Mine has callbacks to Canada. It's got a great Canadian actor who is still making a lot of cash. And on top of that, made a fortune in the box office. And it was great and very, very close to its source material. Obviously, Back to the Future doesn't really have a source material other than kind of the short stories that it was somewhat based on. But if you're just looking for best movie starring a great Canadian actor, I still think Ryan Reynolds hands down is the best out of the three.
It doesn't say great Canadian actor.
Nope.
It just says the best movie. And
I'm just giving you all the reasons why mine's better.
My movie just left me full of emotions. Your movies just were set to make money.
I just heard like a baby or something.
Is that
that's our time?
Is that the dinger?
Oh,
that's just to say the rebuttal period's up. So now Adam has to decide if he has enough information to.
I do. This is a very subjective question, and I was looking for a couple of things, and just doing some fact checking here on the backside. I did want to check that box office return, and the only thing about box office returns is that they're not adjusted dollars. So, however,
1985, 380 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. That was a big movie for the time.
No question.
Chris, thank you for bringing me another Canadian picture that I need to see. Never seen it, but
it's a good watch.
Right.
It's also made by one of the guys from Kids in the Hall, wasn't it?
Bruce McDonald.
Yeah. Oh,
Bruce McDonald's. Yeah,
he's not Kids in the Hall.
No, he did a bunch of other Canadian stuff as well. So, but I didn't ask for a Canadian picture. I asked for a movie or a movie starring a Canadian actor. So I'm not going to take this one. But again, thanks for bringing it to me because I will watch it. So it really comes down to Back to the Future versus Deadpool. And honestly, when Mike got in the Back to the Future, that was my go-to too. I thought it was a piece of cake, hands down winner. But Deadpool, and the reason I'm going to pick Deadpool here is Ryan Reynolds' homage to Canadian references through his movies that no American, probably nobody else in the world would get, but Canadians do. And when he throws those in, I think that's nice to pay tribute to your hometown. And I do like that reference. And also, honestly, the movies for me, Deadpool's a fantastic movie. It broke paradigms. It was something new and fresh. And as was Back to the Future in this time.
Back to the Future was too, though.
Yeah. And you can't go with the sequels because both are spinning sequels. So, anyway, Jody gets the point on this round.
All right. Just clear the board.
I like food.
I just got to clear the board.
But Chris, you didn't disappoint. You brought us something new.
Honestly, I never would have thought he picked that.
Well, it's a great movie, and for those who haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil the end for you because
please don't spoil the end.
Yeah. No,
it's very different.
Okay, next question. We got here sports. We're going to go into what is Canada's sports team?
What TV is the next one?
Pardon me, TV. I skipped my own.
You skipped over 3 rounds there, but
yeah.
Where do we get this host from?
Oh my God, it's my first time. Give me a break. I don't really listen to the host. I just make it up as I go.
I know. I'm just kidding you.
All right. So, best Canadian children's show. Which was the best Canadian children's show? And being a child of the 70s, I have my own opinions. But I'm very interested to see what you guys come up with.
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say I think all three of us were more 80s kids, weren't we?
Yeah, I think you are.
Who's up first, Adam?
Chris Seymour will be up first.
Okay.
Okay. The children's show that I loved best and still imprints on my mind was Télé Français. This was made by
No.
Listen, when you're a grade 4 or grade 5 kid and you see that VCR and that CRT TV rolling into the classroom, oh yeah, it's Télé Français Day. And you get to see Pilote, you get to see Anana, you get to see Les Skeletons doing their thing with the guitar. And I think Les Skeletons were my favorite part. Not only was it educational, it taught you French. Like I'll never forget the word Anana. It's very entertaining. It also had the best theme song, I'm thinking. Do you remember that? It went like Télé Français, bonjour, hello, salut. It was just exciting. It was an exciting time in French class. Never got to watch it at home. So it's something I always looked forward to.
Thanks, Chris. Now I'm going to have Tele Francais stuck in my head for the rest of the week.
Some of us tried to forget it.
You want to go with Mike first here, Adam? Or next?
Yeah, I'm just working across my screen. So yeah, we'll go with Mike, please.
All right. So yes, I'm definitely going to show off my children of the 80s frame of reference here. My vote for best Canadian children's show is 1983. I believe it debuted, Fraggle Rock, which was Jim Henson's Muppets in a live action kind of half an hour TV show for kids. Basically little aliens that ran around in caves and dealt with different little monsters. It was a great show as far as production quality, ran for a few years. It's even spawned a spin-off, Fraggle Rock, the animated series, co-produced and shown across UK, the US. Fantastic exposure outside of Canada. But I think, you know, what really sets in my mind is the great music, the lot of colorful pictures in the show and colorful settings, and the Fraggle Rock dog Sprocket. So that's my vote.
Okay, Jody.
All right, I picked a show that's a little bit different than your guys. I picked a show called Street Sense, and I don't know if any of you guys remember that.
I do.
Street Sense was a teen-themed-based news magazine TV series. It was made by CBC Television between '89 and 2006. It was basically focused on consumer and media awareness for young people. So it was essentially a show to teach teens and younger kids how to manage money, you know, looking for scams in advertising, a whole slew of stuff. Basically, I really credit this show to show me how to deal with money in a different light and how to look at banks and how banks work and all that stuff. This is how I learned this stuff. The show itself did really, really well. It won several Gemini Awards as well as International Emmy Awards for Best Youth Program or Series. It had a total of 17 seasons and a total of 923 episodes. This also starred various people, one of which is Jonathan Franks. Or I can't remember. Sorry, what was his name? Jonathan. I can't remember.
Torrance.
J-Rock from Trailer Park Boys. So anyway, that's my pick.
Rebuttal.
Okay, rebuttal.
Well, Jody, I've never seen. I don't think I've ever seen Street Sense, and I don't think I need a kids' TV show to teach me about banks. You know, that's they teach you how to do your taxes and shit too. I don't know. My show just sticks in my head more. It was the theme song, the excitement of getting to watch it, of getting to watch TV at school, it's a show that I still remember to this day.
As I said after your spurt there, most of us tried to forget it, and there was a reason for it. French class was literally the worst class.
Exactly, and that was the best part.
No, that didn't make it better. No, hearing that fucking Tele Francais song in your head for the rest of your school day is not making it better.
What about the Fraggle Rock?
Try rest of the school week. It didn't go away. It never ever went away, that song.
Tele Francais was terribly produced. I don't care what anybody says. That show was terrible. And it was very, very repetitive. The whole point of it was to teach yourself French, right? So that's why it had to be repetitive. Yeah, but repetitive in kids show, yeah, I get it. But, you know, I want something a little bit more entertaining. As for Fraggle Rock, I really don't have anything bad to say about Fraggle Rock. It was a fun show. You know, it had great characters. It was co-produced, as you said, by the UK, US, and Canada. So it wasn't solely a Canadian produced show, but it's still a Canadian show in my opinion. But I don't really have much to say other than the fact that the demographic is really small on it. Like, it's not something that you want to watch when you're 13, 14, which in my opinion is still children. So, you know, at that point, preteens or just late teens. So with that, I just think my pick was a little bit more educational. It was very entertaining. They had little skits and stuff too, which was a lot of fun. It was kind of like a variety show where economics and whatnot were the key factors. So it was a really interesting show.
Jody, if you want to talk about production quality, I think we got to talk about Street Sense, because as far as Canadian variety shows goes, Street Sense on CBC is probably one of the better ones. That being said, for a Canadian variety show, it is what it is. You know, I think the production quality was.
I'm not sure why you're helping
the 90s.
me, but,
we had some pretty poor acting, if I can remember correctly, in Street Sense. You know, I would agree. It taught me a lot. It definitely taught me a lot more than Tele Français, for sure. But
we
I
all
can't
know how
say
to
that
say
I go back.
pineapple in French. So
Everybody knows how to say it, and if it's an educational, we're not looking for educational shows, or else Fraggle Rock would be completely out of this. I don't think that taught you anything.
I completely disagree. Fraggle Rock did teach people a lot of things.
Fraggle Rock,
you know, how to deal with people, how to deal with your friends, stuff like that. A lot of life lessons.
Tons of morality tales and life lessons, absolutely, in Fraggle Rock.
Kind of pissed me off when the Fraggles always ate the Dozers buildings.
Yeah, well, the main thing here, I think, which you know, my show won multiple awards, not only in educational circles but also in just variety show and stuff like that, as well as had tons of episodes, which I don't know what. Imagine Fraggle Rock's close to that, but I don't think it was anywhere near 923 episodes.
I don't know whether Street Sense bringing Jonathan Torrens into the world of Canadian television is a good thing or a bad thing, to be really honest with you, though.
I'm indifferent on that one. So
what Jonovision?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. This one, Jonovision.
That's a point against me if we're going to use
that. Was like Canadian Oprah.
Canadian Oprah. No,
or
I don't know
Donahue.
about that. Anyway.
Okay, guys, I've made my decision here. Couple things. So, you know, I got to tell you, that decade that separates us really does separate us, because none of the choices that you came up with were things that I would have brought forward if I was on your side. I would have probably would have picked Mr. Dress Up.
I was contemplating that, but meh.
But anyways, not about me here.
More.
Not about me. So, Chris, I'm going to disqualify you for Tele Français. Two things.
Disqualified.
This question is like you didn't answer the question. You came up with a question that I said Canadian show. I think that it's Canadian show, but it doesn't appeal to Canadians. And when you said you had to watch it in French class, it tells me you never watched it at home.
Well, he even said he didn't watch it
on TV.
I was checking that. It was available on TVO.
Okay, it was on TVO.
Yeah, so anything that we're forced to watch in school is not. And Mike and Jody, you both alluded you've seen it in school as well. And I was probably too old.
Unfortunately, but
yeah, seen that at that point. So taking Tele Français.
I had it for a second when he was saying, like, remember when you saw the VCR come in and the CRTV? I'm thinking, yeah, that's when we got to watch a good movie. And then he's like, and then they played Tele Français, and I'm like, oh, well, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Also not available in any other province but Ontario. I would.
It may have been available in other provinces,
Really?
but again, I don't know.
We watched it in Quebec in French class. Just
did you?
For sure,
I
you
was
watched it
going
in
to say
Quebec.
it's got to be an educational thing for sure.
Yeah,
But
even in Quebec.
As a kid, I don't remember like going to TVO for. I mean, yes, there was some good shows on there, but not all. And anyway, so Tele Français out. Street Sense, Jody, it's really a teen focus, not a children's focus, and I'm glad you liked it. I think that there's some merit for that for sure. But I'm going to go with Fraggle Rock as a kids show, even though it was co-produced with the UK, but it did air on CBC, which made it a national program.
This host gives a lot of reasons. I'm just like, when I pick it, it's like, I like that one the best.
Yeah, the rest of you are idiots. So-and-so gets the point.
We're done.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't need to justify my reasoning. I'm the judge.
Yeah, at least I get to know why my answer was stupid.
All right, moving on to music here. That's right? Music is right. I'm on my list now. Okay.
Music is next, yeah.
Okay, best song featuring a Canadian town, city, or province. We're up with Mike Connors first in this one.
All right, so best song featuring a Canadian town, city, or province. I'm going with the Tragically Hip's Bob Cajun, quintessential Canadian song. It's got some good nostalgia for me too. I did a lot of fishing when I was a kid, a little bit of fishing and hunting growing up around the Bob Cajun area. Know a few of those lakes. As far as quintessential Canadian songs, I think there's quite a few Tragically Hip songs that hit that mark, but for me, nothing more than Bob Cajun when we talk about a town, city, or province really resonates home. That may be Ontario centric, but at the same time, nothing like that. Bob Cajun really gives me that good Canadian feel, and that's my vote for number one. And really, I mean, it's the hip. You can't go wrong with the hip. And I know I'm already seeing some backlash spurring here from Chris. So.
Okay, Jody.
I thought Chris would have picked that song, quite honestly. But anyway, I too picked a Tragically Hip song, but not that one. I actually picked Wheat Kings. And the reason why I picked Wheat Kings, obviously, it is a reference to Saskatchewan farmers. However, the song is actually about false imprisonment, and especially a gentleman by the name of Millard. David Millard, who was served 23 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. So it's got a lot of tragedy to it. But I think when I think about the song, I think about the fact that this is the Canadian justice system that's screwed up, and it's, to me, this is a learning song as well. So it's got a little bit of education in it. And just overall, when I think about it, the first thing I think of is, Canadians kind of screwing up in this scenario, and finally justice being served eventually. So to me, I just think this is a great example of how Canadians, especially Canadian songwriters, can take a tragedy and basically educate through song. So in my opinion, it's a great Canadian song.
Okay, over to Chris.
Okay, surprisingly, guys, I did not pick a Tragically Hip song.
Is it a Headstone song?
No, I chose.
Well, I can't be Primus. They're not Canadian.
I chose. It doesn't have to be a Canadian artist, does it? But anyways, I chose the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Reason I chose this song, it's a true story told by Gordon Lightfoot. Amazing song. Tell you a little story. I went to a Live 8 concert back in 2005, and Motley Crue was there.
I was there with you.
You might have been there with me. You know what sticks out in my mind, though? The performance by Gordon Lightfoot. This song mentions all of the Great Lakes. It's about a tragic accident that killed 29 men on the Edmund Fitzgerald, just 27 miles off the coast of Sault Ste. Marie. So it's a tragedy that happened within Ontario. And the song's been covered by so many people. All Canadians know this song, and it's just amazing to me.
Okay, rebuttals, guys.
I think they're all good picks. I can't really complain. Chris has picked something that obviously is very similar to something like mine, whereas it's a true storytelling, blah, blah, blah. Mike's pick is more of a kind of a fable in a way, but it's still, in my opinion, obviously it's about, Catharta Lakes and stuff like that. But overall, I think all three of them are pretty strong. Adam, I don't envy you. Well, I guess that's really what I'm trying to say.
While reading this question, my what immediately jumped to my mind was Bob Cajun. But then I'm like, wait, almost every hip song could fit in this category.
It's very easy to pick a hip song that can fit this category.
Bob Cajun was a great song. It's not even the best hip song. Neither is Wheat Kings. You could argue like the 100th Meridian. You could do 50 Mission Cap. There's so many.
I thought you were going to say that, Chris. So I actually looked it up. The most played song out of all of the hips library is actually Wheat Kings. Funny enough, based on Spotify results, which is pretty accurate.
I think there's a lot of depressed hip fans on Spotify. Then, I mean, I love.
You know
Wheat
what?
Kings,
Your song is second.
Yeah.
Your song is second. Very close.
I love Wheat Kings. It's a beautiful song, but boy, does it bring me down. I can't say it and I think part of it is that
nothing
story.
in this question that said it had to be about a happy song.
Absolutely.
I
But
have a
I think it's
question.
got to be the best song, right? And I think that's where Bob Cajun really speaks to the Canadian mythology
I have a
without going
question.
into a lot of specifics.
Go ahead, Dave.
What is the place specific to Wheat Kings? The Canadian, and also for Chris, because I'm trying to understand like the geographic.
The song's name actually is referring to Saskatchewan farmers,
Yeah,
so therefore
So Saskatchewan, okay,
Yeah, I
and for
would
Chris,
take that.
yours is Sault Ste.
and
Marie.
obviously the injustice happened in Saskatchewan as well.
You know what? The
There have
accident
to be a
actually did
specific
take
lyrical
place,
reference.
The accident took place in Canadian waters, Ontario waters, actually, in Lake Superior. So it was 27 kilometers off the coast of Sault Ste. Marie, yes. But also, Gordon Lightfoot does mention the other Great Lakes. He mentions Lake Huron, Lake Erie, because he's trying to paint a story about what those sailing conditions are like in the middle of November.
Right. 'Cause I'm very familiar with that song, but that's about Americans. That song.
It's not about Americans because it all took place in Ontario. The accident took place in Ontario. So it is about the province of Ontario. The song's not about the province, but it took place in the province of Ontario.
Right. Okay.
I guess you have to use I guess Adam gets to decide.
I'm going to decide whether that
featuring means. I guess is really what it comes down to. Does featuring mean referencing or does it mean about? So I guess that's an Adam call.
Well, I
think all three of them are good picks.
I'm gonna yes, you're not disqualified this time, Chris. I mean, I think the reference to the Great Lakes and the names of them and all that, I think that's close enough and it brings it home. So yeah, it does qualify for in this category.
And I think the amount of people that have covered this song, actually, it was recently covered by the Headstones, oddly enough, but it's being covered by a lot of other people, and Hugh Dillon, which relates back to my first answer.
Oh, geez, Hugh Dillon again.
All about the Headstones.
Flashpoint. That's all I know about him.
That's not why I chose this song. I chose it because of my personal Live Aid experience and seeing Gordon Lightfoot. He just sticks in my mind as such a great performer. Before I saw him, I didn't even know that I wanted to see him, but he left me with a great impression afterwards.
All right.
What's interesting is Chris doesn't remember that I was there with him.
Okay, well,
you were.
He did have a lot of beers, though.
You've been telling him for 20 years you were there with him.
So I made my decision on this one. We go back to the qualifications of the questions and is passionate about it and its energy. Mike, I'm sorry you didn't tell me enough about why. You just said you liked it because it's a good song. It's actually a very good song, and but no, Jody, I really liked the David Millard reference and the tie-in to that. I think that you knew that. That's fantastic. For me, that's what hits home there. I think that was
the song should know that.
Well, many people don't. Okay, you got to look it up. And that huge injustice that happened with that. I think it's a
not
mark on
necessarily
Canada.
a happy song about Canada.
No,
no, it's still a song.
And however, I'm landing on Chris here. I think that Chris was a good choice. You sort of pushed the boundaries because you didn't follow the instructions completely, but overall, I think you're right. Over time, it's become one of those great songs in Canadian history that have outlined something that happened in Canadian waters, and yes, American reference, Dave, but it's still, I think it's a Canadian song, so I'm going with that.
All right.
Bullshit.
Hey,
what was that?
I never called you out when you were judging me.
I'm kidding.
Yes,
you're the judge. You get to pick. That's
right.
how it works.
Yep. All right. Okay, we're now down to our sports themed question. Thank you, Dave. What is Canada's I wrote this badly. Which Canadian sports team has the best fan base? And Jody, we're back to you to start this one off.
This is easy. I don't even know why we had to even bother with this. It is the Raptors. Okay. Anybody who has ever been to a live Raptors game knows exactly the power and the energy that's going on in that arena. Okay. Well, to give you an idea, when they went through in 2019, they were the first most watched basketball game ever in Canada and it was the most watched broadcast in the last 3 years. Okay, they when they were going for the championship in 2019, which they did eventually win. You know what, the power, the energy, the fan base. You know, you have guys like Drake, for instance, who doesn't even take any money for being an ambassador for them. That's how much he loves them. You got I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the guy who owns the car dealerships in
Badia.
That's it, Bavia. Yeah, he's hilarious, and he's a great fan as well. But just the overall crowd, the enjoyment. I've never had so much fun, and I've gone to a ton of live sports events, and I've never had so much fun as I've had just being in the stands during a game. And this is a game that, you know, it's a fast-paced game. Let's be honest, and I do enjoy watching it live versus watching it on TV. But overall, it's a great atmosphere, a lot of power, a lot of energy.
Great. Actually, it wasn't 2 years ago last week that they won?
Yes.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, 2018, yeah.
Okay, over to Chris.
Also chose another Toronto team, but I chose the Toronto Blue Jays. Reason I think that they have the greatest fan base is because their fans are from all across the country. And Blue Jays fans, unlike Raptors fans, are not bandwagoners. They are fans that have been cheering on this team since the beginning, since 1977. Like I've been to Blue Jays game. There's a lot of excitement there. Like people doing the waves in the stands.
Did he not seem convinced? Because I wasn't convinced when he said it.
I believe it.
The only thing people are enthusiastic at in Jays games is getting another beer.
Exactly. So
wait for the rebuttals, please. Let's just let Chris continue and finish.
I just believe that the Blue Jays are Canada's team. They're the only team that the whole country can unite with and be excited about together. That's it.
Over to Mike.
All right, so best fan base in Canada for a sports team, it's got to be the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I went out west to Saskatchewan and the quintessential CFL fan base for this one. Yeah, the Canadians. You could talk about the Montreal Canadiens, the Toronto Maple Leafs. For a CFL team, not a ton of fans watching, but these guys are probably the most fervent fan base. If you've ever been to Section 28. In the bleachers that they're at Taylor Field out in Regina, unbelievable the amount of noise and atmosphere that these guys create. Probably the biggest fan base in the CFL. I think third in merchandise sales for all of Canadian sports teams behind the Leafs and Canadians. And, probably, just one of the most exciting places to be if you're ever going to watch a CFL game, which, there aren't a lot of CFL games, which are terribly fun to watch. So.
Okay, rebuttals, guys.
All right, let's make this short and sweet. Okay, baseball. Do I have to say more? Okay, it is a fucking boring sport. The fans that are there to be drunk. Okay, I'm sorry. Some of them are there to watch the game when they can watch it from 3.5 miles away. But you know what? That's fine. Okay. You know what? I will agree with you. When the Jays win, the subway is always a fun time. Okay. I'll give you that. Okay. And so it is when the Raptors win as well, which happens to happen a lot as well. The overall atmosphere of a basketball game is nothing like any of the other things that you guys, I've been to all three of these things. And I can tell you right now that out of all three of these, the Raptors are definitely the top here when it comes to the best fan base. Everybody's so much fun. People are having a blast. They're playing games in the while we're waiting for the next one to happen. Stuff like that. It's overall it's great. As for Saskatchewan, I have heard that Saskatchewan has a pretty good fan base. I will definitely agree with you there. But I still don't think the fan base is anything close to what the Raptors are. Especially when the fact that literally for 3 years running, it was the highest rated thing to be watched in sports television. That can't be a coincidence. There's a lot of fans, whether they're at home or at the games watching this. So overall, that's all I have to say about these two things.
All right, I've got a one-word rebuttal for both the Toronto Blue Jays fan base and the Toronto Raptors fan base. Bandwagon. So
prove it.
But
No.
if you go before 2018, how exciting was it ever to see the
How many
the Raptors
Canadian
playing?
teams are in the CFL?
Oh, you know what? I couldn't even tell you that.
The fan
Nine.
base on both the Toronto Blue
Millard
Jays
State.
as well as the Toronto Raptors are much bigger because the fact that there's only one. Okay.
Oh, bigger bigger's not always better though, Jody. Come on.
I'm
now.
sorry. A fan base being bigger, obviously that's way better. What are you talking
No.
about?
These guys out in Saskatchewan, they are absolutely nuts. They're painting their face green. They got watermelons all over their heads. It's insane.
Cool.
And as for the Jays, I'm a big Blue Jays fan. Have been since I was knee high to a grasshopper. But Chris, I mean, yeah, everybody's just there for the beer. And if they don't win, they're almost as fickle as Leafs fans. Come on.
That's great though. Like the fans don't have to care if they win or lose. And I agree with the bandwagon thing with the Raptors. Like honestly, before 2019, I had personally never watched an entire Raptors game. So I
Every
watched the
time
final
I've been
because
to
I
a
was
Raptors game from the beginning,
going on.
it's been full. Every single.
I think Blue
as soon
Jays
as the
fans have
Raptors
sucked
win,
it down.
as soon as the Raptors win, they were going to save Canada from the rest of the world.
Let's be honest. There's
everybody
bandwagoners
just
no
jumped
matter
right on.
what sport's going on if they get to a championship. Absolutely, I agree with that. Okay, but what I'm saying is, since their conception, I've been to probably 15 Raptors games, and every single one of them was a packed house. That can't be coincidence, guys.
Yeah,
And
Okay,
you
Dave,
tried
Dave,
knocking
Dave,
out that Blue Jays
I
game.
made
Yes.
my decision here.
Well,
Okay.
it's a lot smaller house to pack.
All right, then go ahead.
Okay.
Adam.
All right. Couple things here. I'll start with the Raptors. Jody, I was on a plane coming back from Florida from a business trip, the championship game, and I had my tablet up, and I paid the $20 to watch the game, and I had 6 rows back watching with me, and then another guy. It was like 6 tablets down on the plane and I've never been on a plane where it was so intense and people cheering and this was a plane ride back from Florida. It was fantastic to be on. It was one of those great memories I have of traveling. Mike, I can absolutely say to you, I've been in Saskatchewan again for work when the Rough Riders are playing, and I've never seen anything like it. Like the town just goes wild. It's like everybody's wearing green. It's for days ahead, for the whole week ahead. It seems like people are just completely into it. So it is a good fan base. And Jody, Chris, Jays. I think it's timing for the Jays when they, get to the playoffs and they're winning. Sure, the country gets on board, but and really because there's nothing else to do. Because really, Mike, nobody watches CFL. So
myself included.
I mean, the fact that you can't tell you how many teams there are, I can't either. And whether Montreal has a team right now or
Yes, there are 9 teams for the record.
There you go. And why doesn't Halifax have one? I don't know. Like,
We're working on it.
So like, it's just one of those. No, wait, sorry.
The CFL fan base isn't that big.
And Chris, I mean, I've been a Jays fan forever too. I do like it, but I got to tell you something. Going to a game is painful. It's a day process. You leave like at 12 or on the GO train. You don't get back till like 10 at night. And
the most entertaining part is all the drunk people on the train.
Yeah, but if they're not winning, there's not many of them.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to say, I'm going back to the Raptors and the things they've done for the city and the things they've done. And the other thing about the NBA, just the way they engage their fans during the pauses is so much better than their other sports. I mean,
it's always entertaining.
If Major League Baseball could learn anything, take a look at the NBA and how to engage their fan base when there is a break in I'm talking about the stadium fans, right? But anyway, I'm going with I stick with Jody on this one. Raptors are the winners. So what is the score here? Halfway through.
Jody just got his second point, so he is up to 2.
But the good news is the next question I didn't answer, so I'm automatically disqualified.
And I'm just clearing the answers off here.
You could come up with an answer. If
You
you
come
go
up with
back.
an answer. Because
fine.
Chris is first.
Okay.
So the question is, The fifth question, I think we're on now. What is Canada's most impactful natural disaster after 1950?
Jody's up first.
Jody's not going.
Jody's
So
not answering.
Chris is going.
Chris goes first. Okay.
Okay,
So
so
first on the last one, by the way.
what I went with here is the 2016 Fort McMurray wildfires. I'm sure we all remember this from 5 years ago. I'm seeing it devastating on TV. 88,000 people in Fort McMurray were forced from their homes. Millions of trees were burned. Like there were planes going over, dropping water. They could not put this thing out. It went on for weeks. We were watching this devastating forest fire on the news. Farmers lost all their crops. People lost their homes. Ended up costing the country and everyone $10 billion to finally get the fire put out and start some restoration. So in terms of destruction, it has to be the Fort McMurray wildfires in 2016.
Okay, Mike.
All right. Yeah, Chris, I got to say that was a pretty devastating event. I Googled this one because I didn't have a solid answer, and I figured that the Fort McMurray fires would be right up there at the top and somebody would pick it. So mine's a little bit of a different one. I'm going to go with the 2009 swine flu. Killed 428 confirmed deaths in Canada in 2009, 2010. And the reason I'm going to argue this one's going to be short and sweet. Just for arguments purposes, we've seen pandemics before, and this is one. We saw SARS, I think, in the early 2000s. But I'm going to go with this one because it was pretty devastating and scary for a lot of people. And frankly, we should have learned our lessons from some of these previous pandemics as to what we're going through now. So that's going to be my vote. If we had got one of these previous pandemics done a little bit better, hey, maybe we wouldn't be in such dire straits right now with the COVID.
All right, to Jody.
I wave. Unless you want me to give you one, but I don't know if it would work.
Give me one. Yeah.
All right.
I got one. Go ahead.
Well, you've already answered.
Oh, he's going to rebut. I think.
I was.
Oh, okay. Well,
go ahead,
here. How about COVID-19? Is that a natural disaster?
It is.
No, you can't.
It's not Canadian.
No.
What do you mean it's not Canadian?
Well, it's a worldwide.
We've had like almost 200,000 deaths. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've already waved anyway. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So rebuttals.
Trying
Mike,
to give somebody else a chance to win.
So Jody's waving. Okay, so it's just Chris versus. Okay, so we got the 2016 wildfires versus 2009.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I guess the swine flu was a disease that was going around. I don't know if a disease or a COVID-19 is so much a natural disaster as like a wildfire, something naturally caused. I'm just looking at the number of people that were displaced. I think it was just a harder hit on the Canadian economy. It burned millions of our trees. It displaced, like I said, 88,000 people, drew them from their homes. It destroyed farms. It destroyed crops. It destroyed food. It destroyed cattle. It destroyed livestock. I just think it might not have actually killed as many people, but the devastation on the environment and on the amount of people it displaced and the amount of money it costs to get the fires out is just astronomical.
You know what? I can't argue with you, Chris. Like as far as the impact on the economy and the area there up in Fort McMurray, I think as far as deaths go, maybe the swine flu tops it. But the only other natural disaster that I can think of that could be worse is the Leafs not making or not winning the Stanley Cup since 1967. So,
and that's not natural. That's just man-made.
Yeah, that's man-made, and it's ongoing.
Yeah, it never ends. Okay,
it's just a curse. Yeah.
Listen, let's just move on here. Chris, good choice. I was had the personal experience where I was one of the first businesses to reopen in Fort Mac because we were considered food, and we had to throw out the entire contents of a store and then restock it in 2 days and 3 days actually. And it was crazy flying into that city 2 weeks after the fires ended, or 3 weeks, or whatever it was. It just, the smell of burn as you came in was just intense. And then to see all those houses, that after row houses just gone, burnt down to nothing, was pretty impactful. It was wild to see. Mike, interesting choice. I think you probably laid in the COVID experience now, and the fact that we didn't learn anything, which was wild. But I'm going with Chris on this one. So Chris has got another point.
Solid choice.
I would go.
It was my first pick.
What?
It was my first pick.
Yeah, it was wild.
Adam told me I had to pick a new one, then I never picked a new one.
Yeah, you never picked a new one.
Yeah.
Well,
I never followed.
That's the advantage of getting your answers in too.
All right. So, hey, Dave.
Yes.
Are you back? So we have a possibility here for a 3-way tie.
Yes, and then you're going to have to come up with an impromptu tiebreaker if it
All
comes
right.
down to it. But
Okay.
We can only have 2 in the speed round. Oh, Chris is gone. Good. All right, we win.
okay, there you go.
No, don't worry. I'm not going far.
Oh, he's back. Damn it.
All right. So the wild card. What should Canada's national food dish be? And we're going to start with Mike O'Connor. This is going to be you got to convince the judge here.
All right, so we're going with the donair, the delicious Canadian treat that comes from Halifax. We're talking about sliced beef, a little bit of sauce. So it came from an immigrant from Greece who opened a little restaurant, and he decided he was going to sell some delicious sliced beef treats down in Halifax. The lamb wasn't quite cutting it. He switched it over to beef. He came up with a new sauce. And what do you know? We've got donair. Just about every restaurant in Halifax has donairs. Transplants from across Nova Scotia have taken it just about to every Canadian city across the country. You can find donairs in little Ontario towns. All the way across to northern Manitoba, you can find little donair restaurants. It's a delicious Canadian fare, and it really speaks to the immigrant experience in Canada too.
Okay, Jody.
I picked something a little bit better, in my opinion. Well, a lot better actually. I'll tell you why later. Montreal style smoked meat. This is, it's similar to pastrami. This is a smoked meat, which is just heavenly. It is basically a salted beef brisket and cured for a week or so with different spices and then it's steamed. You serve this on a rye bread with some nice mustard. Oh, you can't beat it. It's fantastic. You can even top it like poutine if you want to, stuff like that. There is a very famous deli called Schwartz Deli in Montreal that does probably the best you'll ever have. It is just everything about it screams Canada to me, and with that, that's what I want for a dish that would be considered a national dish, something that's a little bit more accepting everywhere. So overall, I just think that's a great pick.
Okay, Chris.
Okay, I went. Both of yours are pretty tasty picks. I've had them both and enjoyed them both. But you know what's even tastier than that? A delicious beaver tail. Beaver tails are amazing. Every time
Hold on,
I go
Jody.
to Sobel
Hold on.
look forward to going to the
I
beaver
forget my
tail.
mic's on.
You guys will have a chance for rebuttal later. You know what's amazing? It's fried dough. It's deep fried dough in the shape of a beaver tail. You can put whatever you want on there. You could put icing. You could put strawberries. You could put Nutella. You could put Nutella and bananas. That one is probably my favorite one. It's a lot like a funnel cake, but I think a little bit more dense. It's easier to hold on to. You can pick it up and just shove it in your face. It's a great carnival food as well. There's so many ways to serve it. Also, the beaver is on our nickel. It's our national animal. Why not have it our national food as well?
Okay, rebuttal time.
I'll start. Okay. Let's start with the easier one out of the two. Well, no, we'll make it the harder one out of the two. Mike's pick. Okay, Adam, do you like soured milk? Do you like soured milk? Because if you do, they have a sauce for that, and it's called Donair sauce. Okay, you take vinegar and you take bloody milk, condensed milk, and you put it together, and you have a sauce. It is disgusting. I don't get it. Okay, you know what? This is basically just a slightly different take on shawarma. It's not really much of anything. It doesn't have its own identity. It's literally a bunch of things put together. Okay, to make a donair, so to speak. As for beaver tails is essentially just a pastry with shit on it. All right. There's no main thing to it. They've taken the one thing, which is the vessel, and then they've said, we'll make it better by putting something else on it. Okay, which in this case is Nutella or bananas or whatever the fuck you decide you're going to put on it. Okay, my pick is the actual thing. It is meat. We all like the meats. Let's be honest. And with that, it's just a great cured meat. And with that, you can have it a variety of different ways, but the core is still there, which is the meat. Which in a donair, obviously, as even Mike said, goat wasn't working, lamb wasn't working. They decided to go with beef to give that a shot, see if that would work. And obviously, it has done well. But it's a nasty type thing on paper. It doesn't sound great at all, which I think steers some people away. And as for beaver tails, it's a carnival thing. Why would you want a carnival thing put as your national food dish?
Okay, let me rebut this. It's not just a carnival dish. I'm saying they sell it at carnivals. You can get it at most beaches. You can get it at different food trucks. And it's
okay in Burlington, where you have resided and I do reside. Tell me where I can get a beaver tail.
You cannot get one in Burlington right now, but you should be able to.
Once the carnival opens up, though, I can.
Let's say like the Sound of Music or something was going on, you could get a beaver tail. Okay,
Absolutely.
Let's start with the donair first. Okay, let's talk about your guys' foods. You chose the donair. The donair, I think, is really central to Halifax. Sure, we do have some donair shops in Ontario. They're few and far between. Like, I think there's two in Burlington. There's Halifax donair and Sammy's donair. Those are
that's two more restaurants than. There's two more restaurants than serve beaver tails.
It's not a donair is not that different than like a gyro, a Greek food. And as for Montreal smoked meat, it's got the name Montreal in it. So should we make that Canada's national food? Do you think people in Toronto want to be like, yeah, our national food is Montreal smoked meat? No. Or do you think, I think people across Canada could unite and say, yes, the beaver tail represents our country the best. Does Montreal smoked meat represent the whole country? No. Does a donair represent the whole country? No, I think it represents the East Coast.
But a carnival
I think the beaver tail,
the
beaver tail could represent the entire country. People from Vancouver to Newfoundland. And we can all agree on it. You're not going to get the whole country to agree on a donair or Montreal smoked meat.
I think you're more likely to get the whole country to agree on a donair than something that's specifically from Montreal or something that's shilled out of a 2-cent carnival cart.
I liked half of what he said. But I completely disagree. When you're thinking of various things like meats and stuff like that, Montreal smoked meat is it's its own thing. It's its own entity, and with that, it's something that I've been able to order in every province I've ever been in without hesitation. I can get it in almost any higher scale restaurant for sure. Will have it.
But is it Montreal smoked meat if you're eating it in Saskatoon?
Absolutely, it's a process. It has
quick
nothing
story.
to do with
I was born in Montreal. I've been to Montreal many times, and I can tell you that Montreal smoked meat in Toronto does not taste like Montreal smoked meat in Montreal.
Depends on where you go. A good deli, absolutely. You go to a shitty place, it's not. And beaver tails, there's no consistency to beaver tails at all because literally it's a food that isn't consistent to begin with. There's not one set thing that goes on beaver tails. It's like a
As
funnel
much
cake.
as-
There's no
as much
better
as-
than that.
Montreal smoked meat's not consistent. Daenerys aren't consistent.
As much as I love smoked meat, smoked meat. You know, you got pastrami, you got a whole bunch of different. Yeah.
I disagree. And people who smoke their own meat and stuff would definitely disagree with you on that.
Okay, I have a winner here. Mike, sorry, Chris. In this case, you picked a dessert, not a. And again, it doesn't appeal to everybody. I can't even tell you if I've had a beaver tail, and I like to try things, but it's just too sweet for me. I don't think it appeals to the masses on general. So, Jody, the problem with Montreal smoked meat, there's also New York smoked meat, and it's not unique to Canada. I think that there's nothing, a formula that goes across.
The process is unique. I would disagree with you on that.
Well, true. However, there's arguments about, smoked meat is smoked meat. And I don't think that people could define, if they had a sandwich from New York versus Chicago versus Montreal. So in this case, I am going with the donaire. It was something that was crafted in Canada and is spreading across Canada. And I will say, I also got to say, both Jody and Mike, you guys made me hungry. I did feel my stomach cringe on both of these cases. Like, I would like to go to Sammy's and get one. Hey, Chris, Halifax donaire closed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it became a shawarma place.
Yeah. So, but
because that's what it is. It's just shawarma with different shit on it.
Right. But here's the
Canadian shawarma.
The pickle we're in now, Adam, is that we have a three-way tie.
I do have a three-way tie.
The fact that Chris has 2 points is impressive.
I'm sending you a question now to pop up, okay?
Okay. I'll get that. Give me a minute.
Now, is this a question where we can just pick our own answer? Or
I think we're going to have to
I
do
guess
that.
we'd have to, yeah, because there's three of
Dave,
us.
can we give 30 seconds for them to do a quick research on this?
Yeah, sure. I'm still. Did you send? You texted me, or
I won't need it. I'm not even going to look. My hands are going to be on the screen the whole time. That's
we'll
how
give you 30
dedicated I
seconds.
am.
I just got it. All right.
They're all copying me now. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah, you're the leader.
The great ones are always copied.
I gotta move this up.
The great ones don't point it out.
That's why I'm not the great one.
All right.
I'm just the
ready.
good one.
Here we go.
Okay, Mr. Producer, I'm just going to give it to you to figure out how do we do this.
What was Canada's greatest military achievement? And that is.
I'll start on this one.
Oh,
Chris is putting his hand up. So, Chris, you want to just go?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the War of 1812, the time that Canada defeated the United States.
All right.
The Redcoats were amazing back then. It's something that started defining our country. It kept the U.S. out. A lot of battles happening actually here in Ontario. You can go still visit the forts now. You can go down to Fort Erie. You can go down to Fort York in Toronto, and it's great arguing with Americans. You get to tell them like, yeah, that one time that Canada and the U.S. was at war, we won it.
There you go.
All right, I'll hop in.
All right, Mike's ready.
I'm gonna go with. I don't know much about it, but I remember the movie, and it was a bloody battle. I'm gonna go with the Battle of Passchendaele, one of Canada's greatest military victories, also known as Third Battle of Ypres. Yeah, I cheated. Tons of casualties, but really, I think for the Canadian war effort in World War I, really.
Is he breaking up for you guys too?
yeah, he is.
War effort of World War I.
Nope. He's coming back. We missed part of what you said there, Mike.
We got to the Third Battle of Ypres.
Oh. Third Battle of Ypres. So tons of Canadians died. They set themselves up as being a real military force and contributors to World War I. So Battle of Passchendaele.
Okay, I'm going to go with the more obvious one because I don't know why neither one of you guys picked this. 1944 Battle of Normandy, Juno Beach. I think we all really know what happened here. Over 5,000 soldiers died. We decided we were going to do a joint operation with the British as well as the U.S. To essentially evade Normandy and take back from those bastards, the Germans. So at this point, this is I don't even know how to fight this even farther. There was massive casualties. However, we still stood tall, stood well, and still won. So with that, it's, even in loss, there is a win. And overall, this is a brave battle against way, way worse odds than it should have been. And however, we still prevailed pretty well. It's kind of hard to say really for this question, though, because Canada as a whole wasn't really defined as Canada in pretty much all three of these environments. But obviously, if we're loosely going with Canada as in the population of Canada, then yes, I would still think that 1944 Battle of Normandy is probably right up there with one of the most heroic battles, anyway.
Okay. Well, Jody, I agree with you, and Mike, I honestly don't know too much about your situation either. So,
why don't we just continue, because I picked a winner
Solid
anywhere,
enough.
Dave.
I'm sorry.
I've picked a winner
Well,
here anyway.
you have to pick two winners technically.
Yeah, you have to pick.
you got to pick two winners.
All right,
You gotta eliminate somebody.
then I've got two winners. Sorry, Chris. Canada did not exist in 1812. This was a British war in.
I was going to bring that up, but I wanted to wait.
Yeah, using Canada, and honestly, Mike, we were under Britain in World War I as well. We really fought as a regiment, not sort of our own country. So Juno Beach was the first time that Canada really distinguished themselves. Now, however, Canada did have Canadians fighting at Passchendaele, and there's a monument there for us. My great-grandfather actually was there, but and survived. But
Wow.
So Chris, sorry about that. You weren't part of the country in 1812, so we were in a country to define.
So Jody got the point, or did they both get the point?
Jody and Mike are moving on to speed round.
Okay, so we'll both give them a point.
Like it matters because now we're.
Was fun, guys. I'm glad I got 2 points.
You did great, Chris. Good arguments this week.
I hope Jamil will be happy. I know Jamil is one of your biggest supporters, Chris.
Well,
Okay.
He's my only fan.
definite effort put on. I'm a fan too, Chris. You did good work. Jody's not a fan. I can see his face.
What talking about? He did good. Let's put it this way. I've seen a lot of episodes with him. He did pretty damn good on this one.
Yes, he did.
All right, we're gonna take Chris off camera here, so just so we can.
Bye, Chris.
All right, but he can still hear you, and you can hear him. All right, so let's head into the speed round. Here we go.
Okay, now just to be clear, because Mike might not be clear on this either, there's only two answers, right?
Only two answers.
And you shout out whichever one you want, and then the other person gets the other one automatically.
Please let me finish my the question before you shout your answer.
Okay, so he has to finish the question first.
All right.
Okay.
Ready? I'm focused. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Best Canadian coast to visit, east or west?
Oh! I was not
West.
expecting that one.
I said east, so that's fine.
I said west. Yep.
Okay.
Who was in first, though? I guess is really
I'd
what it
say,
comes down to.
I think Jody was.
Jody was.
Was I? Okay. The East Coast is phenomenal. It's beautiful. Obviously, our producer Dave is very fond of the East Coast. Everything to do there, from the difference of cultures in the different areas. Overall, the food, everything about the East Coast is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, the West Coast is beautiful, but the West Coast is just British Columbia. That's it. Okay, there's you get that, and that's all you get. With the East Coast, you get a variety of different cultures. You get Newfoundland, Labrador, obviously, PEI, New Brunswick, all that. So I just think it's great.
And Mike, over to the
All right.
west.
All right, West Coast, you got mountains, you got forests, you've even got a rainforest. Yeah, okay. You've got a bunch of provinces down east. They've been around forever. Really, the West Coast is the best coast because you got a little bit more outdoors to explore, a little bit more variety to explore. You got beaches, you got beautiful water. A lot of the same things you can see as far as wildlife on the East Coast, but the West Coast just a little bit more wild, just a little bit more true North Canadian.
All right. We'll say a minute rebuttal.
I agree with a lot of things that Mike said. However, I think the diversity of my area is a much better area when it comes to various things to do. If you're going to go on vacation, you can spend a ton more time on the East Coast than you can on the West Coast. After you've seen those mountains, you've seen those valleys, you've seen all the rock formations, all that stuff, the lakes. Don't get me wrong, Vancouver, sorry, not Vancouver, British Columbia is a beautiful, beautiful area. However, I just think when it comes to diversity, I want something that, I can, different cultures, all that stuff. There's not a lot of different cultures going on over in British Columbia. So I just think overall, it's a better experience.
Where I would agree with diversity, there's a lot to do on the East Coast. I'm going to say I really don't like, going to Newfoundland and getting snow in the middle of May or June.
Part of the experience.
Yeah, sure. But if I want to go on vacation, I don't know about summer vacation on the East Coast. Just, to go out west, it's going to be that much more of a beautiful experience.
All right.
Okay. Going with the West Coast here. Mike, you mentioned the diversity between the mountains and the sea, the landscape. Jody, if you had brought up the tidal wars and the giant tides, I would have been completely in, because there's nothing in the world like that. But
yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're on one to Mike.
Yep.
Okay. Dave, next question. We good?
I don't know which one you're going to ask. So.
All right. I'm going with my order, so I hope you have it here. But it's the best. Which is the best Sutherland, Kiefer or Donald?
Oh, Donald.
Donald.
Mike got that one.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Let's go with just, as far as longevity of career and seriousness of roles. I mean, I go back to that MASH movie that I remember watching when I was a kid. Donald Sutherland, just way more of a prolific actor as far as, standout roles in history. Kiefer's great, but really, does anybody know him and he was a pretty famous actor when he was young. I'm already into my rebuttal here, but I think Donald Sutherland, he's still around, right? He's still alive. He's probably 90 something, still pushing out movies. So I think as far as the Sutherlands go, easy to say that's Donald Sutherland right there.
Okay, Jody.
Kiefer Sutherland, obviously being the son of Donald Sutherland, has learned from his dad and improved on it. He's been in tons of things, ranging from movies to TV shows. He was one of the most highest rated TV actors, especially with his 24 stint. That was must watch TV for a long period of time. I just think when you're dealing with two career actors who both, let's be honest, they're both great. I just think Kiefer obviously has the younger edge, and he has the more fresh edge when it comes to acting. Donald Sutherland, every movie he's ever been in is the exact same thing now. He plays the grumpy old guy. That's really what he is. And you watch him in stuff like Hunger Games and stuff like that. Always the exact same character. He's the evil, mysterious kind of character. And just overall, I just think if you're going to compare the two, yes, Donald Sutherland wins when it comes to age, because yes, he is older than Kiefer. That's how life works. However, when it comes to actual acting abilities and stuff like that, Kiefer still has a lot more years in him, whereas Donald is really at the end. His prime ended probably in the 80s, maybe early 90s. But he, name 5 movies that he's been in recently, and I could actually say the same thing about Kiefer, let's be honest. But when it comes to just overall cult hits and stuff like that, Kiefer had a lot of really good cult hits in the 80s. That vampire movie, Lost Boys, stuff like that. Whereas Donald I can't think of a lot of things growing up where I saw Donald and went, oh, that's Donald Sutherland. Whereas Kiefer, I knew Kiefer for sure. So he was
we watched
hanging out with the Rat Pack and all that. Yeah.
We watched different movies growing up then, because I remember Donald Sutherland like he was burned into my childhood memory.
I'm sorry.
I think as far as Kiefer goes, he hasn't seen a script that mimics 24 that he hasn't liked, and since that show came out, I think he's just been trying
still making lots of money, and that's important for an actor.
He's just trying to repeat the effort that 24 was. I think now with his career, like I don't know about the last one.
That's what every actor tries to repeat, though. Let's be honest, every actor always wants to go better than their biggest hit. So I don't really think that's a good argument.
And I think Donald's been in some Shakespearean plays. You know, he does a lot that we don't actually see as far as mainstream.
How many of those did you go
movies,
to, Mike?
Oh, zero, absolutely none.
Yeah, exactly. That
Is
proves my point. Have you watched 24? I watched 24.
Oh,
It was a great
every
show.
single episode from start to finish, and I loved it. But you know, I gotta say, just the same old from Kiefer.
All right.
Rebuttals over, guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
That'll
All
do.
right. Going with Kiefer on that one. Over to Jody.
Oh,
I think that the role of Jack Bauer, solidified him in Hollywood and has kept him relevant and going. Mike, I was thinking more about Donald, other than MASH and Backdraft and Dirty Dozen. I can't think of anything more that he's really been in recently. Hunger Games, of course. Thanks for reminding me. But yeah. Okay, keep moving here. We've got our sports question. Which is the best Canadian hockey family, the Sutters or the Gretzkys?
Gretzky's.
Oh, the Sutters.
Oh, good. Okay, so we got some diversity here. Let's go with Jody first with the Gretzkys.
You're talking a history of obviously you have Wayne for sure. You have his dad who is top notch, who unfortunately we just recently lost. Well, I guess not totally recently, but recently enough. It's overall, it's just the Gretzky name is synonymous with hockey, as well as Sutter. Don't get me wrong, but when you're thinking of the great one. Who is the great one? The great one is Gretzky. And with that, no one calls any of the Sutters the great one. And there's a reason for that.
So I think as far as hockey families go, you can't go wrong with the Gretzkys. Obviously, very influential with Wayne and being the great one. How many of Wayne's brothers played in the NHL? I think two of them maybe. And they probably played that same number of games in the NHL as well. I would say as far as the Sutters go, we're talking now. I think we're into the third or fourth generation of Sutters, both playing and coaching. I think the older Sutter generation is now they've coached probably 5 or 6.
You want a better coach? You find Walter Gretzky. That man coached the great one. Not only did he do that later on, he was the namesake for various charities. Overall, just a fantastic family. They're a family that keeps giving back, and in my opinion, that is a very good part of being the best hockey family. A family that gives back. Dave and I obviously are part of a part of an organization that has to do with Walter Gretzky as well. So overall, I've met the man many, many times. And unfortunately it was a sad loss to have him be lost. But, overall, I just think when you think Canadian, you think Canadian hockey. Gretzky is the first name that comes up. There is no debate on that. You ask anybody on the street, they're going to know who Gretzky is. They might not all know who the Sutters are.
There are 64 Sutters that have played for NHL teams. I just double checked. There's 64.
Wouldn't shock me. Okay, but quantity doesn't equal quality. And with that, just because you have that many, yes, the joke has always been, how many Gretzky brothers, have gotten combined points. All of the combined points of the Gretzky brothers do not beat Wayne. Not even close. So with that, this is a guy who set trends. There's rules because of him. And Walter being somebody who has coached a variety of different things in his lifetime, just makes him, I think, the best Canadian hockey family, bar none. There's no debate here.
I think as far as depth, as far as the hockey organizations from the WHL to the NHL to a lot of the Canadian hockey just in general, the overall national program, the Sutters.
The Sutters only win by
depth and impact.
If you're going based on how many hockey players can be produced out of one family, then yes, the Sutters definitely win that. But do you want quality or quantity? Quantity is where the Sutters are. I doubt you can name more than 3 Sutters that were decent.
No, but they certainly have defined their own brand of hockey too. I think
they sure have. But the Gretzky name has defined that 20-fold over anything the Sutters have done.
Ooh.
This is a tough one.
This question.
Someone's got to win it.
Somebody's got to win it.
I do miss Walt, though. He was a lot of fun.
On this one, I'm going with with the Sutters. I think that the Sutters have the sorry, Jody. I think the long-term, long impact commitment to Canadian culture.
Let me know when one of those Sutters get anywhere close to any of his.
I didn't talk
achievements.
about Gretzky's achievements. I'm not diminishing those at all. I just as a family contribution to the NHL and hockey in general, the Sutters outweigh them.
I guess I'll formally disagree.
Very good. Okay, staying with the sorry, Mike, Dave, you want to continue here?
Yep.
All right. This might be another one that I'm going to have a hard one with, but it's a TV theme, still in hockey. Don Cherry or Ron MacLean?
Don Cherry.
Oh, damn it.
Well, that pretty much sums that up, doesn't it? The fact that he just said "damn it" after I got it first clearly shows you the difference between these two people. Don Cherry is a charismatic person who really loves hockey and sometimes says the wrong thing, and he says it a lot of times the wrong way. But overall, is he a person who knows hockey? Absolutely, 100%. They both do. However, Don Cherry is so passionate for hockey to the point that he can lose his career because of it. And with that, Ron MacLean's not much different in that scenario, but he's definitely a lot cleaner, a lot more by the rules. Don Cherry is just he shines everything when it comes to hockey. The man knows hockey. He knows everything about hockey. He knows how to criticize hockey correctly. And a lot of the times that gets him into a lot of shit. And just overall, I just think Don Cherry is a much better personality to watch.
You know what? I think you go back to Rock'em Sock'em Hockey. You can't argue as far as Don Cherry, and that's why I said, "Damn it!" Just because he's that much more ripe for opinion, right? Don Cherry and his impact on Canadian hockey is untenable, but I'd say that ended probably 15 or 20 years ago. His brand of hockey just isn't what the NHL is these days. That truculent, rough it up in the corner. And I think that, beyond what the negative things that he said, Ron MacLean has just been the face of Canadian hockey since the early 90s, really making some deep impact. And, the king of puns, I got to say.
Ron MacLean would be nothing without Don Cherry. Let's be honest. Don Cherry carried that ensemble. He carried it for all those years. And Ron MacLean, even though is somebody who knows a lot about hockey, is not the personality that you want up front. You want Don Cherry, the big charismatic guy. Yes, I would agree with you. He's definitely outstayed his welcome. And I would agree with that. But I think both of them have, quite honestly. I don't think either one of them is something I want to see anymore. This is a different NHL now than it was for those guys. And with that, I agree with you on that. However, the fact that you literally said shit after I picked that leads me to believe that you're conceding anyway.
Okay, guys, I'm going with Jody on this one. Don Cherry. I come back to the point, Jody, you made the point about Don MacLean would not be anything without Don Cherry. I think he would have been. I think he would have been a Dave Hodge kind of character, just a commentator. And he's done a hell of a lot. He wouldn't have got
to the stardom he is, though.
No, and he would have done a lot of good stuff. But walking around airports, and I saw Don Cherry and what's his name, MacLean, several times on coming back and forth, and together they're a pair. Otherwise, I probably just would have walked by. Again, I can't remember his name. Don MacLean. I just would have walked right by him. So, he's one of those guys. Okay. What's the score right now?
5-5.
5.
And I think we have 2 questions left that you've previously sent.
Yeah. So I might need a third.
I don't know which one you're picking, but here we go.
Okay, we're going to go with most influential. Who is the most influential musician in Canada? Gord Downie or Leonard Cohen?
Gord Downie. The hip is something who is notorious for Canada. When you think Canadian bands, you think obviously the hip, which obviously Gord Downie being the front man. Overall, it's I'm not discounting Leonard Cohen at all, but Leonard Cohen is a very choice thing for choice people. It's not something that's a lot of mainstream. Canada mainstream music would be the hip. Whereas Leonard Cohen stuff is not mainstream. It's for a niche market.
All right, I'm going to agree with you as far as Canadian music and Gordon Downey, but as far as influential musician and yes, Leonard Cohen is a niche performer, but maybe niche performer. As far as influential in the music industry, Leonard Cohen is a prolific writer. I think that, a lot of his songs have been copied and covered by countless performers. You can't say the same about the hip. Yes, they've been covered. Maybe have they been covered well? No, but you see a lot of the music that Leonard Cohen's been taken across the world.
When Leonard Cohen dies, the world is going to say, yes, Leonard Cohen died. When Gord Downey died, there was fucking festivals. There was a whole slew of stuff. This is a guy who is so influential on everybody in Canada, one way or the other. You think, yeah, Canada. Most influential musician. Yeah, that's fine. I get where you're going on this, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is that when you take what the Tragically Hip have done, especially Gord Downey and all of his contributions to music, I just feel that when you're dealing with somebody who's a more mainstream thing, that's somebody who can influence more people. Leonard Cohen, even though, yes, has influenced tons of different music and tons of different musicians, and I will definitely grant you that, but that's an age thing as well. Okay, and with that, that doesn't change the fact that, you're dealing with overall just the, when I think about the two of them dying, obviously one of them already has, there was quite an outcry for that. And I just think overall, if you're dealing with influence, that would be something that you would definitely have to take into it.
Leonard Cohen's dead as well.
Is he dead?
Well, yeah, he did.
That's how much I give a shit about him.
The outpouring, the outpouring from the international community, as far as music goes, when Leonard Cohen died, was just insane. So I think he's right.
Could have been that good, because I didn't even know he was dead. And let's be honest, I am literally the social balance of the world.
Finger on the pulse. I'm
just kidding. But no, honestly, I didn't even know he was dead. I thought he was still alive. But anyway, I guess we can't really go any further on this.
All right. So, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think I would have gone with Mike and Leonard Cohen for the influence on musicians and music across the globe. However, with the events that's happening with the residential schools and things that are happening in Canada right now, and going back to Downey's book passages, I think that he is going to be a major player in what's going to transpire, and probably will be monumental events in Canadian history in the next year or so. So I go with Jody's Downey on that one.
There you go.
Okay. So
I kind of feel like I won that, but anyway.
It's a tough one,
but I'll take it.
Yeah. So Jody's got a 1-point lead. There's one question left. So Mike
either he ties or I win.
Mike could force a tiebreaker here. But,
Mike's been a very hard opponent, so it wouldn't shock me.
So when we're answering this question, I'll get another question teed up. Okay, Dave?
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
But okay, so here it goes.
All right. Which is the most iconic Canadian company, Tim Hortons or Canadian Tire?
Tim Hortons.
That's a hard one. I guess I'm getting Canadian Tire no matter what. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, Tim Hortons. From the battle zone in Afghanistan. Just about anybody that visits Canada knows what a double is after just 15 minutes within the country, because they pretty much turn around and smack into a Canadian. Tim Hortons. Canadian Tire, yeah, not so much. We know them in Canada, but as far as being a Canadian icon, that Timmy's Cup is just about known across the world. We've transplanted it to just about every country as far as where our troops go and where our Canadian visitors go. So can't beat Tim Hortons.
Jody.
Canadian Tire is a brand that's been around a lot longer than Tim Hortons. It was established in 1922. It's all still owned by Canada, which is something that Tim Hortons can't say anymore. The minute Tim Hortons decided they were going to fly into the States, I think is where you started losing some of that Canadian branding. And just overall, I don't know if any of you guys have been to a Tim Hortons lately, but that menu is just phenomenally bad now. This isn't the Tim Hortons from the 60s and the 70s. This is the Tim Hortons now. And if you had to compare the two, I'm going to go with Canadian Tire for sure.
Rebuttal.
All right, Canadian Tire. Well, yeah, it's been around longer, but and it is that quintessential Canadian store. But I think as far as being iconic, pretty much only Canadians know about it. I think if you asked a European that was jumping off a plane and trying to find a hardware shop, they probably would not know what a Canadian Tire is. However, if you asked them what kind of coffee they wanted, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to say they want to try a double from Timmy's.
I don't know if I totally agree with you on Europeans wanting Tim Hortons, but because their tastes are usually much better than anything that Tim Hortons is going to shovel out. Canadian Tire being a store that reminds me that when I was a little kid, I'd get my bike tires from there. I would get, all those little things, and those things to me are iconic. Now, Chris, shut your dog up. Oh, is it yours? That is what it is. The dog disagrees with you so much, Mike, that it's causing trouble now. Anyway, the Canadian Tire, I just think, obviously, Canada being in the name makes it almost instantly iconic when it comes to Canada to begin with. However, the amount of brands that they sell that are also Canadian, all these things, they also own marks now and stuff like that. But just overall, when you're dealing with iconic, I think iconic is something that's hard to judge because iconic can be worldwide. It could just be Canada. If it's just Canada and there's a hardware store, everybody knows what Canadian Tire is. Being a store that's been around since 1922, my grandfather bought parts at Canadian Tire, and my grandfather didn't remember the coffee he bought last week. So it doesn't really, when it comes to iconic, I think Canadian Tire wins that for sure.
I think the other thing that's great and iconic.
Plus, they made their own money.
Obviously, Tim Hortons is named after a Canadian hockey icon. Obviously, Tim Horton on top of that, and you walk into a Tim Hortons and that smell is unmistakable. You know exactly where you are.
Especially nowadays, it's terrible to smell. It's so gross. Yeah, I agree with you. That smell is terrible, especially when you eat any of their sponge breakfast sandwiches. It's just, yeah, I get where you're coming from, Mike. But when it comes to icon, this is not an icon that is striving much anymore. It's starting to die down. I have American friends who have tried Tim Hortons and they're like, never again. Like what a terrible franchise, and stuff like that. You have stuff like Starbucks and all that. You have so many different coffee solutions nowadays. We have a couple different big hardware type stores like that in Canada, and with that, I still think they're the most iconic. I remember getting that little Canadian Tire money and stuff like that, and that was a big deal when you were a kid, getting Canadian Tire money. I can go and spend money that isn't money, stuff like that. So all those things kind of weigh into that experience, which in my opinion makes it iconic.
Both are dripping in maple syrup either way.
True. Except everything's frozen now at Tim Hortons.
Pre-baked. Come on.
That's one way to say it.
Okay, Jody. So you spent your first half talking about why I shouldn't pick Canadian or Tim Hortons rather than why you should pick Canadian Tire until your rebuttal, which you did come up with, and that iconic commercial, which I think that we all bring tears to our eyes with the taking the bike out of the car or the truck and here boys, come and help me unload a couple tires here. I think that was one of those heart tugging commercials. But Tim's did their share of that with the the snow plow and always fresh things.
Yeah, I wish it was still like that. I wish they were a Canadian company. That's really what I wish now.
Well, by that definition, Jody wins. It is a Canadian company. However, I did define it as a Canadian company. Right. So I'm going to go with the Tim Hortons model here. I still think that they're in decline. Totally agree, since they were bought by Restaurant Brands International. I just don't think they're the same. So we are into a tiebreaker.
I haven't been into too many of these tiebreakers.
Wow.
So this is an open-end question, right?
Yeah.
Or is it still a one or the other? Because if it's a one or the other, that's not really fair.
No, I know that. So I think that maybe we can give a 1 minute interval for do some research on this question. But I'd like to go back to pop culture and talk about Canadian movies. And this can be produced, directed, written, starring, whatever you want to do. But I need a convincing on the best Canadian movie. So, Dave, if we can cue up maybe some music for a couple minutes.
Can you define what the Canadian movie is? You mean one that's made in Canada, or one that's about Canada, or one that's like, what are we talking about here?
I'd say made in Canada is known as a Canadian movie.
So what's the best Canadian movie is the tiebreaker?
Yeah, what is the best Canadian movie?
Okay, I think I know which one I want to pick, but I got to check to make sure it's fully Canadian.
Interesting. This is a tough question, guys.
5 minutes.
Yeah, fine.
You guys done?
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
a hard
Kristen.
one.
Can you run?
Definitely a hard one.
Oh, they can hear you.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey guys, I gotta go. I gotta do work.
Okay,
All right.
Chris. We'll see you
We'll see
later.
Thanks, Chris.
You know,
You should pick hardcore logo according to Chris.
Yeah, don't pick hardcore logo.
okay.
All right.
Bye,
I
guys. Let me know
wanted
who
to
wins,
just
though.
double check it. So
Oh, Jamil's
No
like,
double
did Chris
check
have a
the
strong
answer.
showing? The answer is no.
Chris, yeah, no, Chris had his best.
do you see Chris here?
Well, he had a strong showing. He just, but not strong enough, I guess.
I think he would have been pretty proud of him though.
Yeah, he did well. Yeah,
All right, are we
except
ready for this?
hardcore logo?
I'm ready to go.
You ready? Okay. Boom. Boom.
And I'll pick who went first last time. It was Mike. So we'll start off with Jody here.
Okay. I picked the movie Goon.
Ooh,
Remember Goon?
I do.
All right. Goon is a movie. I think it was made in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. Stars.
11.
Was it 2011? Really? Oh man, time just goes by with COVID. Anyway, 2011. You're right. So Sean William Scott, known as I can't remember his name from American Pie. Their fame. Stifler, that's it. Yes, they gave him his own movie, and it's about a guy called Doug Gallant who basically can't skate for shit, but gets put onto a hockey team to be the goon, the guy who beats the shit out of people and stuff like that. And he ends up getting a little bit of fame, and he starts getting some notoriety and stuff like that. He's an ex-bar bouncer and ends up doing it. Very funny movie. A lot of Canadiana in it. A lot of it was shot, I believe, in the East Coast as well. So with that, it's just a great, fun Canadian movie. A lot of hits home and a lot of Canadian content.
All right, we'll give you a minute over to Mike.
All right. So for mine, I'm going to go with 1982's Porky's. A bit of a, teen sex comedy, kind of crazy. But as far as for me, like, it was really iconic as far as setting the bar for other movies that would follow it. Like, some of the Meatballs movies that came out in the 80s. Just a wild and fun movie, and I think overall pretty damn funny, and love that it's Canadian made.
It is Canadian made, but it's about Florida. That would be the first thing I would probably point out. Nothing in it screams Canada other than it was Canadian made. Obviously, that'll be up to the judge to decide if that makes a lot of sense. Goon is Canadian settings. It's all Canadian settings. They're playing in a fictional Canadian hockey league. They play various opponents from like Saskatchewan and Halifax and stuff like that. Well, actually, he plays on Halifax. But with that, just overall, it's a fun movie. A lot of Canadiana in it. A lot of Canadian actors in it as well, which is also handy. So Jay Baruchel, obviously a comedian, he has a significant role in it as well, and he also wrote it, so that helps as well. And just overall, it screams Canada to me because everything about it is Canada. I grew up with these type of characters. I grew up with the hockey guys. I grew up with these guys, and everything about this movie screams Canada, which I feel makes it the better Canadian movie over the two.
Well, if I wanted to pick the most quintessential Canadian movie, and probably better than Goon would have been Men with Brooms, but I didn't want to pick the most quintessential Canadian movie. So I think best Canadian movie, I'm still going to go with Porky's. It's funny, it's hilarious.
Barely
Men
a
with
Canadian
Brooms
movie.
was excellent too, but
I would have picked
yeah.
Men with Brooms if I was you. But anyway, sorry.
So did Chris, by the way. So did Chris.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going. Mike, I love Porky's. I just watched it during pandemic. One of the major.
It's a fun movie, though.
It's a fun movie.
It is.
However, it doesn't stand the test of time. I think that it's a little bit misogynist. It's like watching a Star Trek episode. Sometimes you watch, how the hell did that get made?
It was
Code
the
of Honor.
60s and we didn't
It's
know.
like watching Code of Honor.
Yeah, it was 1982. We didn't know.
We didn't know.
So going with Goon on this one, I think it's a longer term, and I believe long term it will be more of a cult classic. And I'd love to know what the box office is. Not the box office when it was launched, but now, and after all
No
the
idea. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, Jody, you take the round and the June championship here. So
Jody wins.
Well played, sir.
You know what, Mike? You were a very hard opponent. That's all I can say. It's I going into this, I thought this was going to be pretty much a sweep for me, and it didn't work out that way. So it was close.
Had to take you to the mat.
Too close for me to be comfortable. Let's put it that way. Actually, after about the second question, that's when I'm like, oh shit, Mike's here to play.
yeah.
Since Chris laughed, I'll just. Oh wait, I didn't want to be up here. There we go.
There he is.
I'll come back on screen because
Yeah.
That's fine.
Chris isn't here.
You're representing Chris.
I'm representing for Chris.
A lot of good questions and a lot of good answers today, Dave. I quite enjoyed this. I'd like to be a contestant again, though, and play Jody and win. So
Judge is hard. Judge is a whole different kind of hard, So
It is hard. It's very hard.
Jamil commented that Goon was so good that Kevin Smith's plan for Hit Somebody really evaporated. Well, I think yes, I agree that
I agree. Yeah.
Goon was definitely like it's a favorite movie of mine, and he even wanted to put Sean William Scott in it. Into Hit Somebody when he was going to make his own hockey movie.
Yeah.
But then he went into that one and he was like,
literally killed everything in
Killed
that movie,
killed it off.
But we got a good movie out of it.
I had no idea Porky's was Canadian or
Canadian made. Yeah.
Canadian
Yeah.
because it's Ivan Reitman.
Honestly, if you went with Men with
Yes,
Brooms,
Ivan
though, you
Reitman.
probably would have won.
Okay.
If you
I
didn't
know.
have
As
Brooms.
soon as I'm like, oh, I loved
I
Men
couldn't
with
argue that
Brooms
one.
too.
That would be so hard to
Yeah.
argue. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Men
was a
with
good
Brooms
one.
had everything.
There we go.
Great job, Adam. Great job hosting. Woo!
thank you.
Give you some.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to put up with me
That's the applause for the intended.
because I like to argue with the judges. So
No, I don't mind the argument with the judge. That's okay. I would love more time to argue with the judges, which is why I want to be a contestant.
Yeah. Well, you can be a contestant again. No
Yes,
worries.
thank you.
maybe we can get Mike to judge one time. That'd be
Yeah,
That'd be
that'd be
nice.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love.
Hey, I'll jump
Yeah.
in for sure.
Okay. Well, hey, let's do something with
Hey,
that.
he can judge me and Adam and whoever the other person.
I know.
poor
I think
soul
Jeff
that's gonna be against us.
Mader has expressed some interest in competing.
Oh, imagine that. That would be a hard one.
Yeah. So Jeff
Jeff
Mader,
is the second most winning, I think, isn't he?
next to you, yes, he's won
Yeah.
quite a bit. Yes, he's competed a lot too. So, I'm looking forward to the next one, to the July episode. But hey, this was a lot of fun, guys, and I want
It was.
to again thank Adam for everything, and maybe we can take it away with some funk down.
Oh, I was dancing before the funk started.